Welcome everyone, we are now on part 2 of our Lee Basics Guide where we will be talking about common strategies and common game plan elements. Remember that we are now on Tekken 7 version 4.01. Also don't forget that there's a written version of this guide if you ever need to consult with that. That guide I will keep updated as new information becomes available. So no time to waste, let's talk some more Lee. We'll start our discussion with a rather simple topic, but it's worth talking about in the context of Lee because of how important it is for him, and that is that his keep out and poke game are really strong. Standing 4 and back 4 are probably the most commonly used of all of his tools, but you also have things like 2-2, that nasty 10 frame confirmable string we talked about that can wall splat. You have forward 4, a nasty launcher that actually legitimately high crushes. You have forward 4-3, an I-11 safe high mid that can go into Hitman, and the second hit can actually launch on counter hit. You have back 4, a safe high homing launcher, and you have down 3, a quick high crushing low that can launch if you go into Hitman. Not to mention he has a number of other moves that are really good on counter hit as well, like 1+2, down 2, down 4 neutral 4, 1-2-4 hold, Hitman 4, and Hitman 1-4. Landing these is another story that involves growing your fundamentals, which is a topic beyond the scope of this guide, but the tools are certainly there to keep people out of your face. This is important because Lee has a tough time cracking turtles, so the most common strategy is to use his bevy of strong pokes, which include jabs, down forward 1, down 3, down 4, down forward 4, down back 3, 3-3, which of course is hit confirmable, toe kick, and so on, and then simply back up or sidestep and wait for the whiff. If they start doing slower moves to punish your movement, then you can start bringing in your strong counter hit and punishing options. Because movement is so strong against Lee, doing frame traps like block down forward 1 or jab into forward 4 can be risky, so you want to be patient and avoid too many hard reads. A quick note about misstep, since there's not enough to it to warrant its own section. You'll find some use with misstep back neutral 4, which is a high crushing low, but you can also use it from back 2 or 1-2, or just do it raw with forward neutral as a way to approach. If your opponent whiffs, you can misstep 3-4, otherwise the stance does not last for long, so you can go right back into your neutral tools, which includes while standing moves, since you can cancel misstep into while standing by tapping back at the end of the stance, which does take some practice to get down. Otherwise, it takes a lot of patience to play Lee and win, so as the saying goes, just stick and move and you'll be alright. The full crouch game is another thing that is fairly simple to run. It revolves around 2 lows, slide, which is your knockdown low, and full crouch down forward 4, which is your quick low poke. Most of the time you're going to do full crouch down forward 4 because it's lower risk at -12 if you go into Hitman, and it does nice damage for a low poke. And on counter hit you get a free follow-up. The slide will get you more damage on normal hit, but obviously with more risk. Your mids will typically be while standing 4, which is the safest option but also the lowest reward, or while standing 2. With while standing 2, you can do either while standing 2-4, which is safe but ends high, or while standing 2-3, which is mid but is -13 on block. While standing 2-3 will give you a mini launch and you can do forward 3, or if you're in rage, you can do his rage drive for a full juggle. While standing 2-4 will give you the ballerina spin for big plus frames, or it can wall splat if you're close enough to the wall. Similarly, you can do his new Season 4 move, while standing 1-4, which is safe but is another move that ends high. You can also certainly stop at just while standing 1 for timing mix-ups too, since it's only -2 on block, so it operates very similar to down forward 1. Unlike down forward 1 though, the threat of the second hit will eventually give you enough mental frames that you'll actually get de facto advantage if just while standing 1 gets blocked. And you can also do his while standing 3 string, which is I-10, does chunky damage, and has an inherent mix-up on the third hit, but beware, while standing 3-3 is -15 on block, and both while standing 3-3 down 3 and while standing 3-3 down forward 3 are -19 on block. Another common option is doing an instant 4-4-3 from with the crouch slide, so that's your safe-ish wall splatting power mid option. If you want to get real sexy, you can even do instant Hitman into something like Hitman 1+2 or Hitman up forward 3. This is actually an important relationship between Hitman and full crouch, since you can cancel Hitman into full crouch, which we'll talk about again in the next section when we discuss Hitman. Lastly, if you want a launch, you can do hop knee from full crouch. Just remember to do a crouch cancel of some sort to avoid getting the flip kick, which is launch punishable. So from a simple crouch, it's normally easiest to merely input up, forward, 4. And that's it. Again, running a full crouch game is straightforward, but requires patience and careful observation. All it takes is one bad guess and you'll get low parried, or you'll just outright whiff, which could wipe away any progress you have made with your safer guesses. Hitman only has one low, HMS 4. It's fairly slow and very punishable on block, so the best use of it is as a high crush. Instead, you'll see a lot of Lee players cancel HMS into full crouch and then do full crouch down forward 4. Once you get the hang of it, you shouldn't be able to see the transition. And much like before, if you want to take a bigger risk, you can do instant slide as well. Similarly, you can press forward to cancel into misstep, and from misstep, you can do back neutral 4, which is +3 on hit and can counter a hit launch. It also high crushes on frame 1 of its startup, which is rare for a crush. In other words, although they are limited, you need these low threats from Hitman, because without these, there would be no incentive for your opponent to move or hit any buttons, and they could simply watch for HMS 4 and block it on reaction. Now, once they do start moving or challenging you, your options in Hitman are really nice. Hitman 3 is insanely good, as it's a safe homing power crush and incredibly fast for a power crush at I-17. It is a high, but his Hitman mids are really strong. On that note, you're going to lean on HMS 1+2 a lot, since it's quick at I-15, has 2 hits, both of which have solid range and tracking. It's safe, and it gives +6 on hit while leaving them fairly close to you for easy follow-ups. HMS 1.4 is good for interrupting as well, since it's as fast as HMS move at I-12. It's safe at -8, but that essentially means that your turn is over. HMS 2 is your big read option, -13 on block, but mid-launch and goes under highs, although not a true crush. And now in Season 4, you're a lot closer to your opponent on hit, which is good for Lee. If you want, you can also try your luck with Hitman up forward 3, a safe mid wall bounce. It's only slightly slower than Hitman 4, so there is some timing mix-up opportunity there, but it's also generally useful to catch people trying to low poke you out of Hitman. Lastly, it's really important to go through and mess with your various transitions and see what options will beat what. For example, if you do forward 4-3 into Hitman, even on block, HMS 3 will beat out anything 13 frames or slower. Another option is punch parry. Although there are many kicks that are 13 frames or faster, most players will abuse down forward ones and jabs, and if they do that, you can simply not go into Hitman and instead do a punch reversal. Although you can also parry from Hitman, so parry is still viable in other Hitman transitions. HMS up forward 4 deserves an honorable mention here too, because it's a safe, low crushing mid that can hit grounded, and it's guaranteed after a lot of stuff. We mentioned back 4 HMS up forward 4 in his essential moves, but another example would be while running 3-4 into Hitman. Although Hitman up forward 4 isn't guaranteed here, it'll still reach even if they do the quick back roll, because remember that tech rolling isn't an option from this, so the attempt is free and they have to block it. If they don't do the back roll, or they try to do something after their back stand, it'll hit. Again, Lee's move list isn't gigantic, so testing various HMS situations is a fun way to expand your matchup knowledge against specific characters and see what works best. So this won't be a long section, but a couple of things that are really important to know. First, you'll be using up back 3 a lot, since it hits grounded and is guaranteed in a lot of situations. And like with Paul's down back 2, if it hits counter hit, you'll get a free follow-up, which in this case is a forward 3. But it's also worth noting that Lee has a lot of moves that hit grounded, most notably forward 3+4, down 3, back 3, and full crouch down forward 4. Even his higher risk lows like HMS 4 and slide both hit grounded. In other words, you shouldn't have an issue hitting people when they stay on the ground. Beyond that, Lee also has some neat Oki traps you can mess with. Since he has a number of moves that spike, one common thing is to spike and then forward 3 if they try to get up. If they stay on the ground, then you can do any number of your ground hitting moves. Back 4 is a common one, but also your forward 4-3 wall ender works as well. So be sure to mess with your Oki options and see what you like. Finally, we'll close this video with another short section by talking about Lee's grabs. It's short mainly because Lee doesn't have much here, but it's always worth talking a little bit about grabs. Lee has just the 2 normals and forward 3+4. Since all of those are reactable, you won't land many against strong defensive players, but that being said, forward 3+4 is nice in that it gives you a free forward 3+4 into mix-ups. Best advice is just to learn to be really weird with your grab timings, and maybe you can sneak in a grab or two. So that brings us to the end of part 2. Hopefully this has given you a little bit better idea of where to start your thinking with Lee and gives your overall game a head start. In part 3, the final part, we'll go over Lee's punishers, which are really good by the way, at least down at 10 frames. We'll also show some basic juggles, talk a little bit about some players you can watch and follow to learn more about high-level Lee, and we'll cap it off with a brief summary. So I hope to see you then. With that, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also be sure to turn on notifications if you'd like to get alerted as soon as a new vid drops. I also try to stream whenever I can, so the link to Twitch is down in the video description below. You will find Twitter and Facebook links down there too. Lastly, consideration for the Patreon is greatly appreciated. Patreon is definitely the best way to support your favorite content creators, and the more support the channel gets, the more time I can devote to it and the more videos I can do. And finally, much love to our 2 patrons, Tato and Apples. That support is greatly appreciated. Stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next time.